Arsenal have made a decision that has baffled everybody. There's been so much frustration that I have to get your guys' opinions on it. I also want to speak about the striker situation at Arsenal because it seems like there's been a change of direction. And if I'm being honest, I'm not sure it's for the best. Calafiori, I also want to speak about him as well. But before we get into it, just very quickly, if you could, hit like on this video. And I'm going to do something I've never asked for before. I am 6 subscribers away from 5,000. Do you know how crazy that is? So just do me the favour. Help me get to that number. Let's get into it. So the first place I want to start is the decision to not sell Eddie Nketiah. Let me know your thoughts on this. Arsenal sticking firm to the fact that they're not going to let him go for any less than 30 million euros. Marseille wanted to pay 27 million and Arsenal said no. You either meet our asking price or go elsewhere. So what did Marseille do? See you later. They went elsewhere. And I'm seeing the frustration online because people basically, you know, we expected this deal to be completed and then that would allow us to refresh that department. And there has been a change in direction for the striker situation at Arsenal now. So I want to speak on that. But first of all, I'll give you my thoughts on the Eddie Nketiah deal because I definitely think it's a frustration because, like I said, the same as me, I'm the same as everyone else. I thought a new striker would be coming in. And if Eddie Nketiah doesn't get sold, well, then we're not going to sell him. I'm also thinking if Eddie Nketiah stays at Arsenal for another season and doesn't really feature that much, what's that going to do for his asking price next season? You've got another year on the bench, you know, basically playing as and when 10, 15 Premier League appearances or appearances in total. It's not going to make his value go up. If anything, this is going to degrade the player. The player's value is going to go down. So Arsenal standing firm over 3 million euros. If we don't have someone else coming for him, then I think we're going to get less than 27 million anyway. Would I have sold Nketiah for 27 million? If I'm being honest, yeah, I thought that was a fairly decent price for Eddie. Like I said, I think Eddie is a decent enough player. I think when he does move elsewhere, he will actually improve. I think his numbers will go up. And I think a lot of people will be saying, why didn't he get given a chance at Arsenal? I think he's a very good striker. Some people are saying, what has he done to earn this price tag of 30 million euros? You know, he is the England under-21 all-time top scorer. So there's definitely a player in there who is able to score goals. Eddie Nketiah definitely knows where the back of the net is. You know, he is a fox in the box. He is an out-and-out striker. And if I'm looking at Arsenal at the minute, that's definitely one of the things that they lack in this team. They do lack an out-and-out striker. Now, in my opinion, the same as many other people's, Eddie Nketiah isn't the answer to Arsenal's striking problems. But like I said, I was hoping Eddie Nketiah would be sold because then that does allow us to replenish that position. That does allow Arsenal to either go and buy someone for a similar amount, which I don't think they would have done because, look, Arsenal are shopping in a very different market to Marseille. If Marseille are looking to bring in a 27 million euro striker, Arsenal are not going to be looking in that same market. Arsenal would understandably be shopping in a very different market. You know, we would be looking to bring in one of the best strikers, and we can't do that with Eddie Nketiah still in the books because we're paying Eddie Nketiah a lot of money. He's on reportedly 100 grand a week. You know, this is why a lot of other teams are maybe being ruled out. And this is why I thought 27 million euros probably was a fair price because not only are the team having to pay a fairly substantial transfer fee for this guy, they're also having to swallow his 100k a week wages if that is what he's on. If what's being reported is correct, Eddie Nketiah got a pay rise to 100 grand. You know, and there's not many teams in world football that can afford to pay a player that much. So if Eddie Nketiah wants to equal his current wages, he would have gone to Marseille, so they've had to pay 100k a week, and they're having to pay 27 million pounds. That's why I just thought this deal made sense for Arsenal to do. Now, the only other thing I can think of, like, if I'm looking at it and saying, why haven't Arsenal gone for this deal? There's only really one thing I can think of. We've seen Tottenham buy Dominick Solanke from Bournemouth. Is Arsenal getting indications from Bournemouth that they might actually be interested in Eddie Nketiah? Because if that is the case, if this is a player going from Premier League to Premier League, then you probably can expect a slightly higher fee for Eddie Nketiah. If they're selling Dominick Solanke for £65 million, then I don't see why we shouldn't try and tell Bournemouth, look, we're going to need £30 million back to buy this player. Premier League teams do pay inflated sums of money for transfers. So that's probably what Bournemouth would have to do. That's the only thing I can think of because it doesn't make sense to me leaving Eddie Nketiah on the bench for another season. I can't see why they would do that. I know Mikel Arteta doesn't mind using this option. There was a few games last season where Mikel Arteta turned to Eddie Nketiah to be the first sub to come on. So he doesn't mind using him. But that doesn't mean that he's essentially good enough to lead the line for Arsenal, or it doesn't mean we can't improve that position. That's why as much as I like Nketiah as a person, I just don't think he's at the level to play for on Arsenal. I think if the easiest, most simple way to put it is, if I'm looking at Eddie Nketiah and I'm looking at Man City, does he get into their subs bench? And people will be like, well, what does that matter? Because you are trying to rival Man City for the Premier League title. So you have to look at all areas of your squad where you can kind of get the slight advantage. And in terms of starting 11, Arsenal and Man City, in my opinion, there isn't too much difference. There's some variables there. You might like a player from Man City in that position, but then you might prefer a player from Arsenal in that position. Eddie Nketiah doesn't get nowhere near the Man City starting 11 or even the squad, the subs bench. And I think that's telling. Like I said, disappointing that Eddie Nketiah didn't get sold. I'm hoping Bournemouth come in, and I hope this is just an Edu and Mikel Arteta thing where he's saying, be patient, you know, good things can still happen. I'm hoping that's what it is. I'm hoping Nketiah can go to Bournemouth. Like I said, not necessarily just because I hate the player, but because I want to see different options out there for Arsenal. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on it. We haven't had a chance to speak about Arsenal's last pre-season game against Lyon. 2-0 win. I've got a couple of points that I just wanted to bring in. I'm not going to go into detail about the game at all, but things that stood out, you know, set pieces. How good was it to see Arsenal, you know, really flourishing again in these set pieces? And there's something that I put 2 and 2 together on this. If Arsenal keep doing well in these set pieces, how good would it be to have an out-and-out striker? Like, this is kind of why I'm linking it together. If Eddie Nketiah goes, we can maybe bring in an out-and-out striker. And imagine what the set piece coach could do with an out-and-out striker who's aerially good. But not just that, central midfield as well, Moreno. We're hearing rumours of Marino coming to Arsenal. My pronunciation is terrible. Marino coming to Arsenal. We saw he was the top in all 5 leagues for aerial duels won. Imagine what he could look like in this Arteta system where these set pieces are so pivotal, are so vital, so promising. You know, you get a set piece for Arsenal and you're almost expecting a goal 1 out of 3 times. So, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. The fact that we're still so good on these set pieces, it kind of made me think what could happen if we do have a new striker and if we add Marino into the mix as well. I think it would be very, very interesting. Look, striker Havertz, there was a couple of opportunities that he missed that I was kind of thinking, it's frustrating. Look, Havertz, I think all in all had a good pre-season. I was watching Havertz before the pre-season thinking, I need you to have a good pre-season here, because if Arsenal are to do anything next season, Havertz will play a massive role in that. And I thought all in all, Havertz was good. I think he was occupying a lot of the positions he did last season. You know, when he plays up that number 9, he's not necessarily the furthest man forward. He does drop deeper and allow other players to go in behind. I thought we definitely saw that. But there's just a clinical edge missing to Havertz that, like I said, I do enjoy parts of his game, but it's just that the misses that he produced. It leaves me kind of thinking what would happen if we did have a different option. Like I said, I'm not sure if we can rely on Havertz for a whole season. Not being negative, just giving my opinion. We obviously have Jesus as well. And I think as good as these 2 strikers are, you know, you can say they're so good at so many things. They're skillful, they're good, the movement's great, they're good off the ball, they're very good technicians. Maybe Havertz is okay in the air at some points, but one thing they are not, either of them, is clinical. And I think Arsenal are really missing that clinical forward striker anyway. I think Trossard is probably our most clinical player. I think Saka can be clinical at times. I think Martinelli is maybe slightly less clinical. I think when he's on form, Martinelli is absolutely deadly. I think his finishing is actually very underrated. I think he's struggling a bit with confidence. I saw some things from Martinelli that I actually liked. I didn't see enough from Martinelli that would make me think he has the ability to take that left wing position off Trossard. All in all, I think Trossard probably had a better display on pre-season, so it wouldn't really lead me to the conclusion that Martinelli will start the early games out on the left wing for Arsenal. I don't know if you guys saw it any different. Let me know if you did. Let me know your thoughts on Arsenal's attack as well. What did you think? And I wanted to just give my thoughts on Calafiori because I thought he was brilliant. I enjoyed so much watching Calafiori's performance in this game. You know, you could tell how much he wanted it. I think he definitely possesses confidence, which is good to see in a defender. You know, he was never kind of shied away from the opportunity. Every time he could receive the ball, I think he did. I think he maybe tried too hard at times, and that's okay because, like I said, that's a confidence thing. That's wanting to put yourself out there. So in terms of trying to overplay or trying to do a bit too much, I don't mind it. Because, like I said, I saw confidence. I saw him trying to play forward. I saw himself always being available. When he did receive the ball, he only went sideways a couple of times because he was trying to find, you know, some cutting like through balls into the middle at times where I was thinking, okay, that's a bit different. I enjoyed watching what Calafiori is doing there, and I'm definitely excited to see what happens. Now, the big question is, do I see Calafiori starting at left back? And I would say no. Not just yet, not because he doesn't have the ability, but just because I think Mikel Arteta needs a bit more time trying to develop or just work with him. Like I said, I still think he has the ability. Everything I saw from Calafiori was good. I didn't think he'd done anything wrong, in fact. But I think, knowing the perfectionist that Mikel Arteta is, I still think he'll be looking at it and saying, I still can do something slightly more different with this player. I still think left back will be the player that the position that Calafiori finds himself in. Right now, I think he's still best in that left centre-back position. And that's only natural because that is a position he's played for the majority of his career. There's definitely still things he needs to learn at left-back. I definitely think he will learn them. And I think Mikel Arteta will give him the time to learn it. That's just my thoughts on that Calafiori debut performance. Let me know if you saw it differently, if you feel it differently. And basically, just what's your hopes for Calafiori going into this season? Do you see him starting? Or do you think him maybe learning a bit more, learning the role, and then coming in towards the maybe middle of the season? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, like I said, just do me a favor. Hit like on this video. Just like it and subscribe. And I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.